Hello and welcome to the Chemistry Topic Reactivity Series, Lesson 3, Metal Oxides. So we've looked at the reactions of metals and non-metals in the previous lesson, and we've been looking at the reactivity series as well. And in this lesson, we're going to look specifically at metal oxides and non-metal oxides. So you've got calcium there, a block of sulfur and some copper, all of which can form oxides, some of which are metals, some of which are non-metals. So if we look at metal oxides first, you've got magnesium is the example that we're going to use. Now, a metal oxide is formed when a metal reacts with oxygen. If they're really reactive, the metal will react with oxygen without any help. If they're not quite as reactive, combustion might need to happen where we need to heat that metal. Magnesium is a good example of that. It's a really lovely experiment which you will have done, hopefully will have done at school, where you burn magnesium in a Bunsen flame. You need a little bit of blue glass to protect your eyes to look through when you're burning it, and then it will give off this beautiful bright white light. And that bright white light is where the magnesium oxide is forming. And when the reaction is finished, you're left with a white powder. That white powder is magnesium oxide. So it's a very straightforward reaction. Magnesium plus oxygen forms magnesium oxide. Now, these metal oxides, when they're dissolved in solution, are alkaline. So that means they can react with acids in a neutralisation reaction. We've covered neutralisation in the acids and alkalis topic, but just to remind you what that means is that when the metal oxide reacts with an acid, it's going to form a salt and water. So if we give you an example, we'll use magnesium oxide and we'll react it with sulfuric acid. So you need to be able to name the salt that sulfuric acid will give you in the reaction, but obviously it will be the magnesium version of that salt. So in this case, it's magnesium sulfate and water are the products formed. Another example, using a different acid, copper oxide is the metal oxide reacting with nitric acid. So that will form a nitrate salt. You need to remember that. In this case, copper nitrate and water. And then a third example with the third acid we need you to be aware of, and this is the one that you probably use the most, certainly the one that you'll use the most in the lab at school, and that's hydrochloric acid. So lead oxide will react with hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid forms chloride salts when it reacts in a neutralisation reaction. So in this case, we get lead chloride water. Make sure you know those salts, and then make sure you can give examples of metal oxides reacting with the acids. And remember this, it is a neutralisation reaction, so one of the products will always be water. Okay, taking a look at the non-metal oxides then. One non-metal that we can talk about is sulfur, and this is a picture of a geyser here with sulfur around the edge where it's been naturally produced. So we'll use that as our example. And again, when the non-metal reacts with oxygen, an oxide is formed. So sulfur reacts with oxygen, and in this case, it will form sulfur dioxide. Now, the difference with the non-metal oxides is that they're acidic. So make a note, metal oxides are alkaline, non-metal oxides are acidic. So that means when it reacts with it will react with an alkali, again a neutralisation reaction, and again a salt and water are produced. So let's take a look at an example of a non-metal oxide reacting with an alkali. The alkali that we're going to use is sodium hydroxide, and the non-metal oxide we're going to use is silicon dioxide. I suggest the two examples I give you here you learn, and these are just straightforward ones that would be really good to be able to name. So sodium hydroxide reacts with silicon dioxide. It is a neutralisation reaction because sodium hydroxide is alkaline, silicon dioxide is an acid, is acidic, and they react together to form sodium silicate, that's the salt, and water. Okay, so you can see that the sodium has formed a compound with the silicon to form sodium silicate. Another example of this, we're going to use sodium hydroxide again. This time it's non-metal oxide it's going to react with is sulfur dioxide, and this will form sodium sulfate on water. So just to highlight the names there, silicon will form a silicate salt when it reacts with an alkali, and sulfur will form a sulfate salt. So do remember that you've got to know the reactions of the non-metal oxides and the reactions of the metal oxides, and one is acidic and one is alkaline. So make sure you're really clear on that, and the worksheet attached to this lesson will help you to get clear on that. And we'll see you again very soon.